You know those letters, right? In the corner of every movie poster? G, PG, R. We all kind of know what they mean, but have you ever really stopped and thought about who actually makes that call? And how on earth they decide?
Okay, so get this. How does a scene where a guy literally gets his heart ripped out of his chest, or another where a ghoul's face melts off, or one where a cute little monster gets thrown in a blender, how do all of those end up with the exact same family-friendly rating? It sounds completely insane, right? But that's exactly what happened in the 1980s. And it caused such an uproar that it basically broke the whole system.
And believe it or not, the answer to that puzzle involves Steven Spielberg, a few massive blockbuster movies, and the birth of a brand new rating that completely changed Hollywood forever.
All right, so let's get into it. First things first, we gotta understand how this whole rating game actually works.
So the folks pulling the levers are from a group called CARA. And here's the most important thing you need to know about them. They are not movie critics. Their job isn't to say, hey, this movie is great or this one is terrible. Nope. They exist for one reason: to give parents a heads up, a little preview of what's inside, so families can make their own calls. Okay, so who are these people really? You might be picturing a bunch of old-school Hollywood executives in a boardroom somewhere, right? Well, the reality is way more interesting than that.
Get this, the raters are just parents. Yeah, really. The biggest requirement to join the board is that you have to have kids of a certain age. And to keep things fair, they're not allowed to have any connection to the movie industry. And almost all of them are totally anonymous. The entire point is to get a room full of people who think like regular American parents, not like Hollywood insiders.
And the process itself? It's pretty simple, actually. A studio sends in their movie, this board of parents watches it, and then they all talk it out. You know, the violence, the language, the themes, all of it. And then they vote. Boom. That's how you get that little rating on the poster.
But wait, the letter itself, like PG or R, that's just the headline. The real info, the stuff that's actually useful for parents, is kind of hidden in the fine print right next to it. Those are the descriptors, and they tell you why a movie got the rating it did. And this is where things get really specific. Just look at language. For a PG movie, you might get away with a few mild curse words, but the moment you drop a single F-bomb, that's an almost automatic trip to PG-13. Use more than one and you're pretty much guaranteed an R. It's a really clear line in the sand.
And it's not just about swear words. Check out how they handle violence. Strong, bloody violence is totally different from bloody horror violence. One sounds more like a big action movie with lots of gore, right? The other is basically telling you, hey, this is horror movie stuff. Stabbings, slashings, that kind of thing. It's a tiny difference in wording, but for a parent, that context is everything.
Okay, so now that we know all that, let's circle back to our original mystery, those shocking PG movies. This is where it all comes together. This is the story of how a massive public outcry literally invented the most common rating we have today.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It's wild how fast this went down. Things started bubbling up in '82 with Poltergeist, which already had people raising their eyebrows at its PG rating. But then came the summer of '84. Bam! In May, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom hits theaters. Then, just 1 month later, Gremlins comes out, and those cute little furballs turn into pure nightmare fuel. Parents were furious. The backlash was so intense that the MPAA had to cook up a brand new rating in less than a month. Just incredible.
And this quote here just nails the problem perfectly. The PG rating was being stretched way too thin. It was trying to be for little kids and for older kids, like 10 to 12-year-olds. And what those huge blockbusters proved was, you just can't do that. You need something in the middle.
So the US gets PG-13, problem solved, right? Well, yeah, for the US. But it is so important to remember this system is not a global thing. What's considered restricted in one place can mean something completely different somewhere else, even just across the border. This is a perfect example. In the States, an R rating means you need a parent with you if you're under 17. But hop over to Alberta, Canada, and their R rating is a brick wall. No one under 18 is getting in, period. No exceptions. It's a hard stop. And here's where it gets really interesting. A movie like Joker, total hard R in the US for its violence. But in Alberta, it was rated 14A. That means a 14-year-old could walk right in. It just goes to show how much these things can change from place to place. It's all about different cultural ideas of what's appropriate.
So when you put it all together, the parents who do the rating, all those detailed descriptions, and the wild history behind it all, you start to see what this system is really about.
And it's not just about guiding parents. These ratings have a huge impact on the business of making movies. You can see here how some genres, like horror or crime, are basically all R-rated films. So if you're a studio, you're not just making a horror movie, you're making an R-rated horror movie. It affects everything from the budget to the marketing. It even helps decide which movies get made in the first place.
And things are about to get even crazier. We're now at a point where AI can literally read a movie script and predict its rating. It's learning to pick up on emotional patterns in the text. For instance, it's found that R-rated scripts tend to use a lot more language connected to disgust. Just think about that. A studio could know the likely rating of their movie before they even shoot a single frame.
Which really brings us full circle. At the end of the day, this whole system isn't there to tell you if a movie is good or bad. It's not a seal of approval or a moral judgment. It's just a tool. It's a simple guide designed to give parents a quick snapshot of what they're about to press play on.
So that leaves us with one big final question. This whole system we've been talking about was born because of what was happening in movie theaters. But now, we're all streaming. There's more stuff to watch than ever before, and every single platform has its own rules. So, can this old system even work anymore? And if it can't, what's going to replace it? That's the new puzzle we all have to solve.